Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really excited and proud to have our next two guests on the show for lots of reasons, which I'll explain in a minute. But this is a little bit emotional for me, partly because of the work that they have been doing and partly because of the work that was done before and what that has meant to my family and to my son. So I know I'm like vague booking here. I've got here in the studio with me Ruth Janka, and she is the new executive director of the North Los Angeles County Regional Center. You guys hear us talk about Regional Center all the time. It's an amazing thing that we have here in the state of California, which has made so many dreams come true for so many families to get access to services that are meaningful. And sitting next to her, we have Michelle Heid, who is with us. And Michelle is the Director of Advanced Behavioral Pathways. But she is here because she is also on the local advisory committee on self-determination. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, self-determination. So first of all, I want to welcome these two amazing ladies here. Thank you so much for being here. And if we could just back up for 1 second, and Ruth, congratulations, you're the new executive director. Can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been at the regional center? And as I said, our show is international, but we talk a lot about the regional center here in California because we think that it's a model for the world. What an incredible way for people to have, over the last, I don't know how long, maybe you can tell me how long that they've been receiving services, but I know what it meant to my son. So I'm going to get emotional. But I want to thank you and thank everybody at the Regional Center for the work that you guys have been doing, because it made all the difference in the world for my kid, honestly. And then I'll mop down. But Ruth, how long have you been at the Regional Center?
I'm going on my 23rd year.
That's amazing.
So I started as a service coordinator back in 1996.
Wow.
And I had many opportunities. I did service coordination, quality assurance. I was our fair hearings manager, and also case management supervisor and director, and most recently the deputy director at the center.
I really want to say thank you for your service. I mean, what an amazing thing. And now to be the executive director at this really exciting time.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be talking about self-determination. So, Michelle, thank you so much for being here. You're an important part of this.
Thank you for having me.
And so great that you are on this local advisory committee. You play a lot of different roles in our community. I'm going to let you explain why this was important to you to be on this committee.
So it was important to me to be on the committee because the committee is made up of primarily parents of clients of the Regional Center and also clients of the Regional Center themselves. There are self-advocates on the committee, but I really felt it was important for a service provider to be on the committee to kind of share a provider perspective on how this transition for clients that are moving to self-determination, how that's going to impact them, and then how the provider community can best serve those clients that are moving into self-determination. So I was hoping to be a link between self-determination program and the provider community.
Okay, wonderful. So we've got that established, but I don't know, a lot of you are probably going, wait a second, what's self-determination? So let's back it up a little bit, talk about what the self-determination program is and how did this all get started? Sure. Who wants to field that?
Why don't I start?
Okay.
So self-determination is an alternative service delivery within the regional center system.
Okay.
So it allows individuals to take an individualized budget and select their service providers to implement their IPPs. And so a major key component difference is that individuals in self-determination may purchase services from any service provider in the community versus a vendored service provider, which under traditional service delivery, services can only be purchased through vendored service providers.
Okay, so if you were a family living in California and you became a client of the Regional Center, which we always encourage anybody who's in California, and if your child is in need of services, become a member, a client of the Regional Center, then you would get a list of providers of places that you could go that had already gone through a process and that were considered vendored with you.
Yes.
So if you found a program that you really liked and they weren't vendored, the choice was that you either had to petition to them and say, go through the process and get vendored, or find another provider. And now with self-determination, that's no longer going to be the case?
That's correct.
And that's a pretty amazing thing. It's like streamlining people to the choices that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about? How did we get to that point? Because it's really kind of exciting.
Yes, I think really it's been a grassroots movement. I think it's been families and individuals, self-advocates, who have really wanted this kind of opportunity to have more freedom and control over the individuals that they select, while assuming more responsibility over the coordination and management of their services.
I have to say I'm just so impressed with the state of California and with the regional center, and because we see from the self-advocate point of view about I want to have more of a say in my program. Mm-hmm. And what a wonderful affirmation to say, and now you can. Anything you want to add to that, Michelle?
Well, I think it's important to note, like Ruth said, it is really a grassroots effort. So it was really a group of parents. The self-determination was started as a pilot program many, many years ago. Mm-hmm. However, just several years ago now, a group of parents petitioned the legislature, and a bill was authored and passed by the state of California to introduce self-determination across the state in all regional centers. And so I think it lends to the importance of advocacy from the parent community, mm-hmm. and really, fighting for the things that parents and clients want, freedom over their services, more control. And I think it's just a great thing that there were parents out there who are really advocating for legislative changes to create the system that they want.
And I frequently say on the show, we talk a lot about what happens in California, partially because we're based here, but partially because California seems to have their feet moving in the right direction. And we see that changes that happen in California, when people see the results of those, that it has an impact on all the other states and really the world. We like to say here, as California goes, so everyone else will eventually, with the things that work, and this is a pretty amazing thing. So you mentioned the pilot program. What is the pilot program, and how many people are participating currently in the pilot program?
Okay, so if I may, so the pilot programs were in 1998, mm-hmm. and they were established in the Lanterman Act, and 3 regional centers were designated to conduct these pilot programs. Back in 2013, the self-determination program statewide was implemented and added to statute. And so now we have what's called a phase-in of the self-determination program.
Okay.
So the phase-in is the first 3 years where regional centers are implementing the program. Each regional center was given a number of individuals that could participate, and 2,500 statewide, inclusive of those individuals who were in the pilot program.
Okay.
After 3 years, which is going to be June of 2021,
okay,
the program becomes available to everyone who's eligible to participate. So
okay.
It's a 3-year phase-in, and they started the 3-year period from the date that the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services approved our waiver application, or California's waiver application.
Okay.
And that was June of 2018.
Okay. So there are some people, though, right now who have this service and have the ability to determine where they would like to spend. They're given an amount, a budget, mm-hmm. And they get to determine what to do with it.
Yes.
And they're sort of setting the pathway. You're kind of working out the bugs. Can we say that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what are you finding?
Well, we're in the very beginning stages. It's been about a year now
uh-huh.
in implementation, and so we've just recently gotten the average cost calculator from the department in terms of calculating cost for establishing the individualized budget. We have person-centered planning entities that are becoming vendored to do person-centered planning initially, because that's going to be funded out of traditional regional center funding to begin the program. Down the road, that'll come out of the individualized budget
Okay.
So we've got folks out there that are also getting trained to be person-centered planning. I want to say, entities or planners, individuals, because they can, that service can be purchased out of the budget if an individual so chooses. We've also got individuals who are becoming independent facilitators, so they're going through training to get, there isn't really a formal certification program, but there's lots of training out there where individuals get certificates demonstrating that they've gone through the training, and so that's a component of this.
Okay. So you're gearing up.
Yes.
Getting
all
ready
the
for when
pieces
everybody.
are getting in place.
In 2 years, everybody's going to have it. Okay, so you can choose the things that you want, but that doesn't mean that the program covers everything. What kinds of services can you get in the self-determination program?
Okay. So services available through self-determination have to be eligible for reimbursement through the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
Okay.
So that's a federal entity that will reimburse the state. About 40% of regional centers' purchase of service budgets comes from what's more commonly known as the Medicaid waiver.
Okay.
And so any service that an individual seeks to secure, to implement their IPP, has to be eligible for what we call federal financial participation.
Okay.
And those services are things like respite and habilitative services like adaptive skills training. It could be transportation, it could be community integration services, it could be personal support services in the home. Now, the other factor is the waiver requires an individual to still pursue services that are available through generic resources. So self-determination or the individualized budget cannot be used to purchase a service that's the legal responsibility of another generic agency in the community, like the school district.
I see.
Or in-home supportive services.
I see. So, because that would be redundant, right? So if you already have the ability to get that service from somebody else, it's not going to cover that.
That's
basically.
correct.
Okay. I always have to check, did I get it? So talk to us a little bit, Michelle, about, because you're on the committee for self-determination, the kinds of conversations that you guys have been having about, I can't even imagine the amount of work this took to put this together.
Yeah, I think the committee really has been spending a lot of our time. Okay.
Do we have?
We have a water bottle spill.
Oh, we don't
I'm
care.
so sorry.
It's so okay.
Okay.
But anyway, so we were saying about you guys have spent a lot of time.
We've spent a lot of time really just learning about self-determination and how to implement the program as best as the regional center can to support the clients that are involved in self-determination or choosing self-determination as their way to access services. And so the committee has really had to spend a long time learning about the law and about the statute and how it's going to be implemented. We've been doing a lot of advocacy work on behalf of the community of people that are going to be accessing it to kind of work with the regional center staff and ensuring that the needs are fully met when they enter into the program. So it's been a lot of problem solving, but it's been a lot of learning too. Just, this is a very different service delivery model, so it's been a lot of learning.
And of course, when we're talking about individuals who have a different way of looking at the world, and a spectrum of those people. There are some people who are going to go, this is so great, I know exactly how I want to spend my money, and who have the ability to do that because they know there's a specific thing that they want help with. But of course, you've got other people that actually knowing what they want and being able to say, okay, I'm going to spend my money on this might be overwhelming, right? But you guys actually have a plan for that as well, and you mentioned briefly about, because there's a person on that one of the things that's paid for out of this is somebody who helps to plan these things.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So an independent facilitator, someone who's trained and skilled in helping individuals who might communicate differently about their needs and their goals, can really help develop a person-centered plan that will identify what are the short-term needs, what are the long-term needs, and then help identify what kinds of services and supports out in the community could help that individual achieve those goals.
You know, I'm sure that there are people watching who are like, wait a second, this just sounds like the promised land. That at a certain point, especially for our individuals who are older, that are 17 and up, what I hear a lot of times from those parents is, I don't know what to do. Like, he could do this or she can do this, but I would need someone that's working on this, and I'm not good at it, and they want to be independent, and I don't know how to function this. This really is an exceptional program.
Absolutely.
I think from a parent perspective, I don't think we mentioned that I also have a child on the spectrum who's been through the service delivery system. And I think from a parent perspective, it can be a really great program because it can allow you to access services and supports that aren't available through your traditional vendored service, and it allows you more freedom and control of some of those things. So for some families, it may be a really great option. I think my hesitation is it's probably not a good option for all families because it does take an extraordinary amount of organization and planning and implementation that I'm not sure all families have the time to really devote to doing that. So in traditional services, if I need an adaptive skills program, for example, I call my service coordinator. They may give me a list of options, and we talk about the goals associated with that, and I contact a vendored provider, and vendors who have gone through the vendorization process are vetted. In self-determination, I'm going to be doing a lot of that myself, or I'm going to be getting an independent facilitator to assist with that. And I'm going to be a parent in self-determination may be the one doing the negotiations with the provider as to the costs of the program and how that's going to be delivered, which is a little bit more intense in the workload than your traditional service delivery system, I think.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you brought that up, that it may not be for everyone, but at this point, there's people who are eligible, but not everyone can. It's already been determined who the people are who are going to have the self-determination program up until 2 years from now?
Right. So the Department of Developmental Services did a random selection in each regional center's catchment. And
now, the parents were calling that a lottery. Is that what you called it too?
I guess so. Yeah,
because I know several people who were in the lottery, and I know at least one person who feels like they won the lottery because they have self-determination.
They were selected.
So you have that for the next 2 years.
Right.
Right. And then in 2 years, it becomes eligible. Anybody who's eligible, right. What makes you eligible?
Simply to have a developmental disability. So that would mean individuals in early start who have not yet been evaluated to determine do they have a developmental disability as defined in the Lanterman Act. Okay. Would not be eligible for self-determination. And then so long as the individual does not reside in a long-term licensed healthcare facility, like an intermediate care facility or a skilled nursing facility, those individuals are not eligible. However, if someone does reside in one of those settings and wants to participate in self-determination, statute allows for planning for that. For the regional centers to help them plan to transition.
That's really exciting. So where should people go to get more information so that they can be ready for 2 years from now? Where's the place to go?
A few different places. So North LA has a website which has a self-determination page, and we keep it updated with information. The Department of Developmental Services also has a self-determination link on their website, and we link their website to our website. And then also the Office of Clients' Rights Advocacy and State Council on Developmental Disability also have pages on self-determination. So there's information there. We have self-determination resource specialists or self-determination specialists at the center that also can assist and provide information. And if I may say one thing to individuals, families who've been selected or individuals who've been selected to participate, we do want to encourage all of them to go through an orientation before deciding not to participate in the program. So we do have some folks that are withdrawing from participation. It may be that they put their names in the lottery just in case they wanted that opportunity. And then some have decided that no, they're really just happy with traditional service delivery, which is fine. We just would like to encourage folks to go through the orientation to learn more about the program and then make a decision about whether or not they want to participate.
You need to know what you're saying no to before you say no to it. Okay, well, and there's so much more of this that we'd like to dig into, but I guess we're going to have to save that for another time. But I so appreciate you ladies being here, but more importantly, I appreciate the work that you've done to make this happen. What an amazing, amazing thing. Any last thoughts? I feel like I know we have so much to cover, but any other thing that you want to share with people before we leave?
I'd like to share, I think if viewers are in California are interested in learning more about self-determination, besides the resources that Ruth mentioned, every regional center has a local advisory committee on self-determination, and most of those committees meet monthly, and those committees are open. And so that's a great way for people to come and learn more, ask questions from the committee, and meet people who are really interested in self-determination. And so I would advise people to get online and find those meetings and go.
I think that's an amazing idea. Thank you guys so much for being here and for this wonderful program, and we'll look forward, maybe we can have you back again and have you Skype in and we can get updates on what's happening.
Sounds fantastic.
Really appreciate it. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.